right, other than that, I'll give you credit for it.
Okay.
Partial credit.
Okay.
Consider
That's why I
you
did.
less than others.
I thought, look, no, I thought it was the
What if
branch.
they get some
You hear me,
sense
Dr.
out
Moore?
right there?
When you said, it did say the loop on the paper, and I thought you was talking about the branch, because we know it's gonna execute. I thought you was talking about the branch.
Yeah, let's do this again. This is exact, but guess where I got this, anybody?
Off the homework.
No.
On the chart,
For
man.
that, after that, for predict not taken, I understood that
You got it from
that store double will continue
Yes.
to make it as decode,
Yes.
execute and memory
Yes.
and write back. I did mistake
You got it
there.
out there.
And I counted it wrong also.
Okay. All right, so let's take a look.
That's more you got it out.
Dr. Morris, question.
Yes.
For that predict not taken, when it's not taken, will the store double execute it completely?
Yes, without refetching. That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
That's the point. It's the loop,
So it
not the
has to be
branch.
fetch, decode, execute, right?
Yes.
It has to be.
It's the
Or
loop,
it
not
does
the
only
branch.
fetch, it does only fetch.
The body of the loop executes twice. The loop executes
So
twice.
the loop is not the branch.
Yeah, well, it is. How many times did it hit the else statement, the loop statement?
Okay, because I
Once,
thought,
twice.
I thought the question was saying the branch start executing out, twice.
Dr. Moore, you know why I got confused at?
What's that?
I'm gonna tell you where my confusion came at.
All right.
R0.
Well, there wasn't a dependency at all on R0.
I know because it's 0.
Because there's never a dependencies only occur when the destination register is then subsequently used as a source register. Okay, so for example, R1 here, R1 here. Strictly speaking, there's a dependency between this and this because the R1 is used here.
It was
Okay.
straight to the point though, it was easy.
It was quite easy. I did calculation mistake.
All right, so then, let's see, lecture 7.
Silly mistakes take out, right?
You gotta do good on the count.
All
Tell Dr.
Here.
Moore, you need to worry about the fountain.
Oops. Early branch completion, predict not taken. You ready? Here we go. There it is. All right. So, here's the interesting piece. All right. At the BNE, it just goes through, no problem. Then, it fetches it on the next cycle like it's supposed to, correct? Then, when in the early branch completion hardware, when is the PC known? When? When is it good? When the branch enters execute. All right? So, here the branch enters execute in clock cycle 8. Agreed?
Agreed.
And now, what did it fetch? Because the loop took, because it branched, because the BNE, in other words, R2 was not equal to R3, it went back up to the label called loop. In other words, the branch was taken. And what was our prediction?
Not taken.
Predict not taken. And so therefore, since it was taken, this instruction gets discarded, and during the branch's execute, we fetch the new instruction. Okay, boom, 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 we get down to the BNE the second time. All right? Now, therefore, we fetch the instruction following the BNE. Now, what's the assumption? Predict?
Not taken.
Not taken.
Predict not taken, and indeed, it wasn't taken. So it just presses through, boom.
Dr. Morris, when you say not taken, all you saying is it's not equal.
No, it's not taken. It didn't use the branch target address.
Okay.
It used the instruction that followed the branch physically.
Okay.
All right? So in this case, our supposition of predict not taken was accurate, and therefore it presses on through, fetch decode, and you see 16 clocks. All right? Clear, right?
Yep.
All right, good. So then, Good. So, there. And I think this is where we got yesterday, right?
Yes.
All right. And notice, if you were to take this code and put it into WinNIPS, you would get 16 clocks, 16 cycles. Okay, predict not taken there. You see it? Oops. Boom, boom, boom. Predict not taken here. Ah. And it presses on through, just like it's supposed to. All right, good. So then. All right, so now here's a new technique. Okay? Now, let me just preface this by saying early branch completion helps a great deal. All right? That early branch completion, we took it from 3 clocks down to either 1 or no clocks of delay, depending on how accurate our prediction was. The reality of it is that even with early branch completion, we still have an issue when a branch takes place. Okay? So here's the idea. Now, incidentally, back up a minute. We did look at 2 policies. The first policy was flush. And for our early branch completion hardware, flush always had a 1 cycle delay, no matter what.
I'm sorry, Dr. Morse.
Right? Now, one of the issues with that, though, is when the branch was not taken, you ended up fetching the same instruction twice.
But it's just 1 clock cycle.
Right? And so what we did is we said, hey, let's assume predict not taken. By the way, that's one of the things that WinNIPS supports. Okay? Assume the branch won't occur and proceed with the next instruction. And when you're right, it eliminates the stall. Well, here's the idea. We're going to use what's called a branch delay slot. Okay? A branch delay slot. Now, this is counterintuitive. All right, this is counterintuitive. Because when you look at the code, you see one thing, but what happens is another thing. Watch. You fill the slot following the branch with an instruction that always executes, no matter what. So the code, it looks like it says BNE and then some other instruction. Okay? With a branch delay slot, that instruction that follows the BNE always executes. It's as though it were in the body of the loop. So what you see and what happens are counterintuitive. All right? They're counterintuitive. Because you're used to thinking, oh, there's the branch, so everything above the branch is in the body of the loop. But when there is a branch delay slot, the body of the loop includes the instruction that immediately follows the branch. All right? Now, the idea is to fill that slot with an instruction that always executes, and then hopefully we can find useful work to do. Now, if we can't find useful work, the instruction that we put there has to be either completely harmless or at least undoable. If it executes and does something we don't want, we should be able to undo it. All right? And by the way, if we can't find any instruction at all, then we have to put some kind of a no-op there. You know. No. So, all right? Good. Now listen to me. Reading the code which shows the filled branch delay slot is counterintuitive. And I've got red, underlined, highlighted, parenthesized, quotated, capital letters, every kind of modification I can think of at the bottom of the slide. The branch delay slot instruction always executes. Okay? No matter what the branch does, that instruction always executes. And you'll see why this is useful here in just a moment. But first, let's talk about how we fill the branch delay slot. There's really 2 techniques. There's from before, which is the preferred instruction. All right? And the idea is to find some instruction before the branch and move it into the branch delay slot. And there's 2 flavors of that. There's either a backward or a forward in the from before technique. So look at this. Here's the way it used to look. All right? You see it?
Mhm.
And here's what we do. We find some instruction that came from before the branch. All right? And we move it there. For example, right here. All right? We took this instruction and put it in there. You see it? In the delay slot. You see it? Here's what I had. I take the instruction, look, this GAD instruction that was from before, and I put it into the delay slot. Now look, normally how did the body of the loop execute? Instruction, 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 GAD, instruction, instruction, BEQ, right? Now, this DAD appears to be outside of the loop, but it's not. It's as though it were inside the loop. Does that make sense? So this is,
So it's still in the same spot?
it's always executed. And if I can do it without changing the outcome, that's what I do. All right? All right? Good. So it's either backward or forward. All right? So here's the case. So this is when I say backward, that's like loop, BNE to loop. Sometimes it's go to here, right? So here's a similar thing, right? So here what did it do? It said GAD, BEQ, the delay slot, Now notice what I've done. I've taken this instruction from before and I've placed it in the delay slot. So you see it? All right. And the trick, remember this, when you have a branch delay slot, the instruction is always executed. It's you look at it and you forget that, you're going, okay? It's always executed. All right? Here's the next technique, it's called from target. All right? So, you use the instruction at the branch target, and you move that into the delay slot. So, here's the example. I've got, this is the case of a backwards loop. So I take this D sub instruction that's at the branch target, right? And I put it into the branch delay slot. Now, most of the time, well, let me be careful. Many cases, you might have to sort of preload that instruction. See here, I had to preload it. I had to do it again. Because otherwise it might have messed the loop up. So sometimes rescheduling with a branch delay slot, you have to accommodate changes in the way the code executes. All right? Now remember, instructions always executed, has to do useful work or be harmless or at least undoable. Okay? Now, good. For a backward branch, we also have to copy the instruction. Since this is no longer in the body of the loop, right? You have to put it there, an additional copy of it one more time.
But Dr. Morris, wouldn't that mess up the value?
No. No. Right now, suppose I'm the first time through the loop at this where it says ...
Mm-hmm.
Do you see R4 has a certain value there?
Mm-hmm.
Bam, right? Well, here it has a certain value, right?
Right.
The difference is when I hit the BEQ, okay, this is always executed. All right, it's always executed. So you have to be careful that in executing it this second time,